Okay, guys, part four, final part. This part is a bit shorter than the others. Um, we'll do Tang China, okay? So the short-lived Sui dynasty from 589 to 618 CE and the more durable Tang dynasty from 618 to 907 CE, note that date range, expanded the territory that they controlled into Central and East Asia, thus paralleling Islam's explosion out of Arabia and throughout Afroeurasia. Once again, the landmass had two centers of power, as Islam replaced the Roman Empire in counterbalancing the power and wealth of China. This bipolar world differed significantly from that of the Roman and Han empires. In the centuries since their waning, Eurasian and African worlds had drawn much closer through trade, conversion, and regular political contracts. Now the two powerhouses competed for dominance in Central Asia, sharing influences and even mobile populations that weaved back and forth across porous borders between them. So porous is like open borders. China was both a recipient of foreign influence and a source of influences on its neighbors. It was becoming the hub of East Asian integration. Like the Umayyads and the Abbasids, the Tang dynasty, recovering the territory and confidence of the Han Empire, promoted a cosmopolitan culture. Under its rule, Buddhism, medicine, and mathematics from India gave China's chief cities an international flavor. Buddhist monks from Bactria, Greeks, Armenians, and Jews from Constantinople, Muslim envoys from Samarkand and Persia, Vietnamese tributary missions from Annam, nomadic chieftains from the Siberian plains, officials and students from Korea, and monkish visitors from Japan all rubbed elbows in the streets of two of China's largest cities. Ideas also traveled eastward, notably to Korea and Japan, where Taoism made inroads. Similarly, Chinese statecraft, as expressed through Confucian classics, struck the early Koreans and Japanese as the best model for their own state building. China had faced a long period of fragmentation before Tang rulers restored Han models of empire building. Their claims that an imperial system could outperform small states found a receptive audience and the populace fatigued by internal chaos. The Tang dynasty expanded China's boundaries and reestablished its dominance in Central and East Asia. Buddhism, in particular, thrived under Tang rule. Initially, Emperor Li Shimin distrusted Buddhist monks because they avoided serving the government and paying taxes. Yet after Buddhism gained acceptance as one of the three ways of learning, joining Taoism and Confucianism, the other two, Li endowed huge monasteries, sent emissaries to India to collect taxes and relics, and commissioned Buddhist paintings and statuary. Caves along the Silk Road, such as those at Danhuang, provided ideal venues for monks to paint the inside walls where religious rites and mediations took place. Soon the caves boasted bright color paintings and massive statues of the Buddha and the Bodhisattvas. By the mid-9th century CE, the proliferation and growing influence of Buddhism threatened China's Confucian and Taoist leaders. They attacked Buddhism, arguing that its values conflicted with native traditions. One of the boldest attacks came from the Confucian scholar official Han Yu, who represented the rising literati from the south. You'll read him for Wednesday. His memorial against Buddhism in 819 CE protested the emperor's plan to bring a relic of the Buddha to the capital for exhibition. Striking a note that would have been inconceivable under the early Tang's cosmopolitanism, Han Yu attacked Buddhism as a foreign doctrine of barbarian peoples who were different in language, culture, and knowledge. These objections earned him exile to the malaria-infested southern province of Guangdong. Yet 2 decades later, the state began suppressing Buddhist monasteries and confiscating their wealth, fearing that religious loyalties would undermine political ones. Increasingly intolerant Confucian scholar administrators argued that the Buddhist monastic establishment threatened the imperial order. They claimed that members of the unmarried clergy were conspiring to destroy the state, the family, and the body. Piecemeal measures against the monastic orders gave way in the 840s CE to open persecution. Buddhist monks and nuns endured a forced return to secular life, after which the state parceled out monastery lands to tax-paying landlords and peasant farmers. To expunge the cultural impact of Buddhism, classically trained literati revived ancient prose styles and the teachings of Confucius and his followers. Linking classical scholarship, ancient literature, and Confucian morality, they constructed a cultural fortress that reversed the early Buddhist successes in China. Ultimately, the Tang era represented the triumph of homegrown ideologies, that would be Confucianism and Taoism, right, over a foreign universalizing religion, which is Buddhism. In addition, by permanently breaking apart huge monastic holdings, the Tang made sure that no religion would rival its power. Successor dynasties continued to keep religious establishments weak and fragmented, although Confucianism maintained a more prominent role within society as the basis of the ruling class's ideology, and as a quasi-religious belief system for a wider portion of the population. As a result, within China, persistent religious pluralism remained, even including Buddhism, which continued to be important in the face of dynastic persecution. China's deteriorating economic conditions in the 9th century CE led to peasant uprisings, some even led by unsuccessful examination candidates. These revolts eventually brought down the dynasty. Power-hungry eunuchs also contributed to the demise of the Tang, as did pressures from Muslim incursions into the western regions of the Tang Empire and Sogdian and Tibetan pressures in the northwest. By the 10th century CE, China had fragmented into regional states and entered a new but much shorter era of decentralization. The Song dynasty that emerged in 960 CE could not unify the Tang territories, and even the Mongols, invading steppe peoples, were able to restore the glory of the Han and Tang empires only for a century. The period 600 to 1000 CE saw heightened movement across cultural boundaries, as well as an insistence on the distinctiveness of individual societies. Commodities, technological innovations, ideas, merchants, adventurers, and scholars traveled from one end of Afroeurasia to the other and up and down coastal Africa. Spreading religion into new frontiers accompanied this mercantile activity. The proximity of the period's two powerhouses, Abbasid Islam and Tang China, facilitated the dynamic movement. While universalizing religions expanded and common cultures grew, debate raged within each religion over foundational principles. In spite of the diffusion of basic texts and official languages, regional variations of Christianity, Islam, and Buddhism proliferated as each belief system spread. The period from 600 to 1000 CE demonstrated that religion, reinforced by prosperity and imperial resources, could bring peoples together in unprecedented ways. But it could also, as we will see, drive them apart in blood-curdling confrontations. Dun dun dun. So that is the end of the lecture notes for week 11. I hope you paid attention. I know it's rough to do a big chunk of lecture like that all in one. I appreciate you working with me today and working with Mr. Khan. I will see you all on Wednesday when we discuss the documents. Have a great day, and please contact me by email between now and then if you need to do that.